We talked earlier before we started recording about the chieftains
Irish
playing
folk music.
Irish music.
Yeah.
When Mick Jagger walked onto the Oscar stage in 2025, the world did a double take. At 82, he shouldn't have moved like that. Fluid, sharp, full of energy that seemed to defy age itself. Yet, there he was, grinning, improvising jokes, and owning the room the way only he can. Younger stars looked exhausted just watching him. Behind that effortless charm lies a lifetime of discipline, rebellion, and brilliance. Jagger isn't simply an aging rock legend, he's a phenomenon who redefined what it means to grow old without slowing down. From Dartford to destiny, Mick Jagger was born on July 26, 1943, in Dartford, England, a quiet little town that could hardly have imagined the global storm he would become. His father, Joe, was a gym teacher who believed in order and routine. His mother, Eva, was a hairdresser and community activist who filled their modest home with energy. The Jaggers were the picture of post-war English normalcy, but their eldest son was not meant for an ordinary life. Even as a boy, Mick stood out. His mother made his shirts from bright fabrics because store clothes were scarce after the war, and those flashes of color became his first rebellion. While other boys played football, Mick sang at weddings for 10 shillings a night, his first taste of applause, and maybe his first hint that he was destined to perform. The Spark with Keith Richards. Fate works in mysterious ways. In 1950, Mick met a young boy named Keith Richards. They played marbles, shared laughs, then lost touch as they attended different schools. More than a decade later, in 1961, destiny struck again. 17-year-old Mick was standing on a train platform holding records by Muddy Waters and Chuck Berry when Keith recognized the covers. That meeting reignited a friendship and launched a partnership that would shape rock history. Within weeks, they were sneaking into jazz clubs in Soho, soaking up music and dreaming of something bigger. It's said the odds of them meeting that morning were 1 in hundreds of thousands, but somehow the universe aligned, and the Rolling Stones were born. A mind for music and for business. What people sometimes forget is that Jagger wasn't just an instinctive performer. He was academically gifted. At Dartford Grammar, he excelled in English, economics, and history, eventually earning a scholarship to the London School of Economics. There he studied government and finance, disciplines that would later make him one of the sharpest businessmen in show business. But while his classmates debated policies, Mick was sneaking out to rehearse with Keith. His professors saw his potential, but knew his heart was elsewhere. By 1962, when the Stones got their first chance at a real gig, Jagger's grades fell, but his ambition soared. He left college, traded classrooms for smoky clubs, and bet everything on music. It turned out to be one of the best investments in entertainment history. The rise of the Rolling Stones. Those early years were rough. Mick, Keith, and Brian Jones lived in a tiny Chelsea apartment that smelled of cigarettes and cold tea. They practiced sitting down because the ceiling was too low to stand. Yet even in those cramped quarters, something electric was forming. Their sound was raw and alive, drawn straight from the American blues Mick loved. When they played live, the energy was almost violent, chaotic, loud, and utterly irresistible. Their first gigs barely paid enough to eat, but soon word spread. These weren't polished pop boys like the Beatles. They were dangerous, defiant, and thrilling. The Rolling Stones became the band your parents warned you about, which only made teenagers love them more. Loss, legacy, and lessons. Tragedy struck when Brian Jones, the band's founder, died in 1969 at just 27. His death shook the Stones to their core. Jagger, reading poetry at Brian's memorial, broke down in tears. That same year, their free concert at Altamont descended into chaos and violence, leaving a fan dead. It was a dark end to the 1960s dream. In the years that followed, Mick carried both grief and guilt, but also a sharpened sense of control. He began managing every detail of his career, from contracts to creative direction, determined never to let circumstances dictate his fate again. Reinvention and mastery. The 1970s saw Jagger at his creative peak. Albums like Sticky Fingers and Exile on Main Street defined the sound of rock. Gritty, soulful, timeless. He collaborated with artists like Andy Warhol, whose provocative album cover designs matched the band's edgy image. Even amid chaos, tax exile, personal drama, and constant travel, the music never lost its bite. Jagger's stage presence became the blueprint for every frontman who followed. When he strutted down a catwalk in sequined jumpsuits, he wasn't just performing, he was rewriting what a rock concert could be. Love, fame, and turmoil. Behind the spotlight, Mick's personal life was as intense as his performances. Relationships came and went, each one making headlines. His marriages to Bianca Jagger and his long partnership with Jerry Hall produced children, scandals, and some of the most iconic tabloid moments of the 20th century. He was passionate but restless, often unable to balance love and fame. Yet even his romantic missteps revealed his humanity. He wasn't a caricature of excess. He was a man searching for connection in a world that constantly demanded more of him. Over time, fatherhood softened him. His children became the grounding force that fame never could be. The turning point. By the 1980s, the Stones faced internal fractures. Mick's desire to go solo angered Keith, and for a time, they barely spoke. But creative tension has always fueled their genius, and in 1989, they reunited for Steel Wheels, a comeback that silenced every critic. The tour that followed set records and proved that age had not dimmed their fire. The Rolling Stones had become a living monument, older, wiser, still unstoppable. The art of staying real. What makes Jagger unique isn't just stamina, it's authenticity. He never tried to freeze himself in the past or chase trends that didn't suit him. He embraced his age without surrendering his vitality. His wrinkles, as his daughter once said, are a map of his life. On stage, they catch the light like silver threads of truth. That refusal to hide, to pretend, to play it safe, that's what keeps him fascinating. In a culture obsessed with youth, Mick Jagger remains proof that charisma doesn't age. It deepens. The discipline of joy. His so-called Mediterranean lifestyle is famous among friends. Strict diet, disciplined exercise, no late sugar, no junk food, and just enough indulgence to stay human. He laughs easily, drinks an occasional Guinness, and still loves to dance in his kitchen. Those who know him say he's happiest in motion, jogging through the English countryside, humming new melodies, or chasing his young son around the living room. Joy, for him, isn't a luxury. It's a workout for the soul. The philosopher of rock behind the showmanship is a man who reads constantly, studies art, and keeps a quiet fascination with history and politics. He has degrees of curiosity that rival his degrees of fame. In interviews, he speaks not like a wild rock star, but like a thoughtful observer who has seen the cost of success up close. He understands that every era ends, every crowd fades, but creativity endures. That understanding gives him peace and purpose. The modern legacy, more than 60 years after the Stones first took the stage, Jagger remains their pulse. He still records, still tours, still surprises. At the 2025 Oscars, his unscripted humor and effortless movement reminded the world why he's irreplaceable. One fan tweeted, "Mick isn't 82, he's timeless." It's true. He doesn't live in defiance of age, but in mastery of it. Each performance is both celebration and defiance, a living argument that passion keeps the heart young. The endless encore. So how does one explain Mick Jagger? Is it genetics, discipline, or sheer willpower? Maybe it's all three. But more than anything, it's his refusal to stop moving, physically, creatively, emotionally. Every morning run since 1978, every late-night recording session, every joke cracked on stage adds up to one philosophy. Keep going. Keep creating. Keep living. He once said, "The secret is to outlast the trends." He's done more than that. He's outlasted generations, not by resisting change, but by dancing through it. Final reflection. At 82, Mick Jagger doesn't just represent rock and roll, he is rock and roll. The rebellion, the wit, the sweat, the survival, the showmanship, the soul. He's proof that youth isn't an age, it's an attitude. Watching him sprint across a stage or laugh with his children reminds us that greatness isn't about avoiding time, it's about using it well. The world has watched him rise, fall, love, lose, and return again, stronger each time. And maybe that's the real lesson of Mick Jagger, that passion, discipline, and joy are the true fountains of youth. 6 decades on, he's still running, still singing, still smiling,